Hello, everybody, and welcome to chapter 18 of the book of Bereishit as we continue to travel through Tanach. Chapter 18 has 33 verses, and it's found in the Koran Saks Chumash on page 106 and 107. This chapter marks the beginning of Parshas Vayera, which takes place 3 days after Abraham's circumcision. He is sitting at the entrance to his tent, and he is communicating with Hashem, when all of a sudden he sees three visitors in the distance, to whom he immediately jumps up to show exceptional hospitality. These visitors are actually angels disguised as travelers, and when they accept Avram's offer of hospitality, they then go on to announce that Sarah will give birth to a son, which Sarah reacts to by laughing. The chapter then shifts to the impending destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Hashem informs Abraham of the plan, and we see a negotiation between Abraham and Hashem as he passionately pleads on their behalf, arguing for mercy if righteous people can be found. It appears that Abraham is unsuccessful because the next chapter, chapter 19, will detail the destruction of Sodom. So, with that introduction in mind, let's start together with chapter 18, verse 1. Vayira elav Adonai be'elonei Mamre. Hashem appeared to Abraham in the plains of Mamre, Behu Yoshev Pesach ha'ohel kachom hayom, while he was sitting at the entrance of the tent in the heat of the day. Our rabbis point out that the heat of the day was intentional by Hashem. He did not want Abraham to be trying to offer hospitality to guests. He wanted him to relax. The third day after the bris milah would have been the most painful, and at the age of 99, he need nothing more than to rest and recuperate. So Hashem purposely turned up the temperature in order to encourage him to remain indoors. That did not deter him, and so our chapter starts off with Abraham being Abraham and instead being on the lookout for people that he would be able to help. Verse 2, Vayisa einav vayar. Avraham looked up and saw. V'hinei shlosha anashim nitzavim alav. He saw three men standing nearby. Vayar, and he saw them. Vayaratz likrasam mipesach ha'ohel. And he ran from the opening of his tent to greet them. Vaishtachu arza, and he bowed down low to the ground. Two verses in, and we've already seen the word vayera or vayar, the word to see. We've seen that three times already. And this is a very unique parasha because actually we will see numerous times where words to do with seeing, with sight, perception, are used repeatedly throughout this chapter and, in fact, throughout the next couple of chapters as well. Verse 3, Vayomar, and he said, Adonai, my Lord, imna matzasi chen beinecha, al na savor me'alavdecha. If I find favor in your eyes, please do not pass your servant by. Verse 4, Yukachna ma'at mayim, v'rachatzu raglechem. Let some water be brought, and wash your feet. V'hishoanu tachas ha'etz, and rest under the tree. Verse 5, Ve'ekcha pas lechem. I will bring you some bread, v'sa'adu libechem, so that you can sustain yourselves. Achar ta'avoru, after that you can go on, ki al kein avartem al avdechem, inasmuch as you have passed by your servant. Vayomru, and they said, Kein ta'aseh kasher dabarta. Do just as you say. Verse 6, Vayimaher Avraham ha'ohela el Sarah. Avraham rushed to Sarah in the tent. Vayomer, and he said, Mahari, hurry up. Shlosh se'im kemach soles lushi v'asi ugos. Hurry, 3 sa'ah of fine flour, knead it, and bake bread. Verse 7, Viel habakar ratz Avraham. Then Avraham ran to the cattle. Vayikach ben bakar rach vatov, took a calf, a tender choice, vayiten el hana'ar, and gave it to the young man, vayimaher la'asososo, who hurried and prepared it. Vayikach chema v'chalav, and he took cream and milk, or butter and milk, uven habakar, and the calf, asher asa, which he had prepared, vayiten lifnehem, and he set it before them. V'hu omed aleihem tachas ha'etz vayochelu, and he stood by them as they ate under the tree. You may notice that in this verse he seems to be bringing dairy products and meaty products. How could that be? This is Avraham we're talking about. There are different answers to this question. One of the main answers is he brought the milk first, the dairy products first, which they would have consumed, and after that they would have eaten the meaty products. And that is completely fine according to Jewish law, starting with milk Finishing that and then starting separately with meat is not the same as when one eats meaty products and dairy products together. Verse 9, Vayomer Elav. They asked him, they said to him, Aye, Sarah Ishtecha, where is your wife Sarah? Vayomer Hinei Va'ohel. And he said, he replied, she is there in the tent. Vayomer, then one of them said, Shov Ashuv Elecha Ka'is Chaya, V'hinei Vein LaSarah Ishtecha. I will return to you this time next year, and your wife Sarah will have a son. Sarah Shomas Pesach Ohel V'hu Acharav. Sarah was listening at the opening of the tent behind him. Verse 11. Va'avraham v'Sarah zakenim ba'im bayamim. Avraham and Sarah were already old, advanced in their years. Chadal lihiyos l'Sarah orach kanashim. The manner of women had ceased to be with Sarah, meaning she was already so old she was incapable of having a child. Verse 12, Vatitzchak Sarah b'kirba lemor. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, Acharei velosi haisali ednav adoni zakein. Now that I am worn out, can I have this pleasure? And my husband is old. Verse 13, Vayomer Adonai el Avraham. Then Hashem said to Avraham, Lama zeh tzachaka Sarah lemor. Why did Sarah laugh and say, Ha'af umnam eleid va'ani zakanti? Can I really have a child now that I'm old? And our rabbis point out that Hashem mentions to Avraham that her reaction was to laugh, but doesn't tell Avraham that she was questioning the possibility of Avraham being able to have children because he was old, and instead leaves out that particular detail and focuses on Sarah being old. And our rabbis point out that from here we see how important it is to preserve shalom bayis, to preserve domestic harmony, even to the point that Hashem was willing to hide certain truths from Avraham so as not to upset him or offend him or embarrass him. Verse 14, Haipale me Adonai davar, is anything beyond Hashem's powers? Lamoed ashuv elecha ka'es chaya u'lesara vein. At the due time next year, I will return to you, and Sarah will have a son. Verse 15, Vatechachesh Sarah lemor. And Sarah denied it, saying, Lo tzachakti, I did not laugh, ki areah, for she was afraid. Vayomer lo ki tzachakt. But he said, Not so, you did laugh. Verse 16, Vayakumu misham ha'anashim. The men got up to leave, and remember, these are not just ordinary men, they're actually malachim, they're actually angels sent with specific missions. One of them has already done the mission of informing Avraham and Sarah that they are going to have a baby. So now there's going to be a malach that's going to head off to destroy Sodom. So verse 16, Vayakumu misham ha'anashim, the men got up to leave, Vayashkifu al panei Sodom, and they looked out towards Sodom. Va'avraham holech imam l'shalcham, and Avraham accompanied them to send them on their way. Verse 17, Va'adonai Amar, and Hashem said, Hamechaseh ani me Avraham asher ani oseh. Should I hide from Avraham what I am about to do? For Avraham hayo yihyeh legoy gadol va'atzum. Avraham is about to become a great and mighty nation. V'nivruchuvo kol goyei haaretz. And through him all the nations on earth will be blessed. Ki yedativ leman asher yitzaver, ki yedativ leman asher yitzaver es banav ve'es beiso acharav. For I have chosen him so that he may direct his children and his household after him. V'shamru derech Adonai, to keep the way of Hashem, la'asos staka mishpat, by doing what is right and just. Leman havi Adonai al Avraham es asher diber alav, that Hashem may bring about for Avraham what he spoke of for him. Verse 20, Vayomer Adonai, so Hashem said, Zakas Sodom va'amorah ki rabbah. The outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great. V'chatasam ki chavda ma'od, and their sin is very grave. Eirada na ve'er'eh haktsa'kasa haba'a elai asu kala. I shall go down now and see if they have really done as much as the outcry that has reached me. Ve'im lo eda'a, and if not, I will know. Verse 22, Vayifnu misham ha'anashim vayelchu Sodoma. The men turned from there and went towards Sodom. Va'avraham odenu omed lifnei Adonai, while Abraham still stood before Hashem. Verse 23, Vayigash Avraham vayomar. Then Avraham stepped forward and said, Ha'af tisped tzadikim rasha. Would you really sweep away the righteous with the wicked? Ulai yesh chamishim tzadikim b'soch ha'ir. What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Ha'af tisper v'lo sisa lamakom leman chamishim hatzadikim asher b'kirba. Would you really sweep it away and not spare the place for the sake of the 50 righteous people in it? Why does Abraham start with the number 50? It's because there are 5 cities that are about to be destroyed, and he's saying, what if we can find 10 tzaddikim in each city? Would Hashem then still need to destroy it? Verse 25, "Chalila lacha me'asos kadavar hazeh." Far be it from you to do such a thing. Lahamis tzaddikim rasha, to kill the righteous with the wicked. V'hayach tzaddik karasha, treating the righteous like the wicked. Chalila lach hashofet kol haaretz lo yaseh mishpat. Far be it from you, shall the judge of all the earth not do justice? Verse 26, Vayomer Adonai, and Hashem said, Im emtsa bistom chamishim tzadikim b'soch ha'ir, if indeed I find 50 tzadikim, 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, v'nasasi l'chol hamakom ba'avoram, I will spare the whole place for their sake. Verse 27, Vayan Avraham vayomar. So Avraham spoke up again and answered him, saying, Hinena ha'alti ledaber el Adonai, va'anochi afa va'efer. Now that I have dared to speak to Hashem, though I am mere dust and ashes, ulai yachtzarun chamishim sadikim chamisha. What if the righteous are 5 less than 50? What if there's 45? Hasashkis b'chamisha es kol ha'ir. Will he destroy the whole city for the lack of 5 people? Vayomer lo ashchis im emsa sham arbaim v'chamisha. And Hashem said, if I find 45 there, I will not destroy it. Why does Avraham now negotiate down to 45? Our rabbis point out, he's saying, let's say we can find you 9 tzaddikim in each city, plus Hashem, add 1. So you've got 9 tzaddikim plus Hashem, you've got 10 therefore in each city, so now you don't need to destroy it. Verse 29, Vayosef od ledaber elav, and he spoke to him yet again. Vayomar, and he said, Ulai yimatzun sham arbaim, if you find 40. Vayomer, and Hashem said, Lo e'eseh ba'avur ha'abayim, I will refrain for the sake of 40. Verse 30, Vayomer, and he said, Al na yichal Adonai va'adabeira. Please, may Hashem not be angry, but let me speak. Ulai yimatzun sham shloshim. What if you only find 30? Vayomer, and he said back to Avraham, Lo e'eseh im emsa sham shloshim. I will not do it if I find 30 people there. Verse 31, Vayomer, and he said, Hinei na ho'alti ledaber el Adonai. Now that I have dared to speak to Hashem, ulai yimatsun sham esrim. What if only 20 are found there? Vayomer lo ashchis ba'avur ha'esrim. He said, I will not destroy for the sake of 20. Verse 32. Vayomer, and he said, Al na yichal Adonai. Please Hashem, don't get angry. Va'adabra achapam. But let me speak just one more time. Ulai yimatsun sham asara. What if only 10 are found there? Vayomer, and he said, Lo ashchis ba'avur ha'asara. I will not destroy for the sake of 10. And finally, verse 33. Vayelech Adonai ka'asher kila ledaber l'Avraham. When Hashem had finished speaking with Avraham, he left. Va'Avraham shav limkomo. And Avraham went back to his place. And as we said before, in chapter 19, we will indeed read about the destruction of Sodom. It would seem that there could not even be found 10 righteous people in any of these cities. If you pay close attention to these negotiations, you will see that sometimes Hashem responds, Lo ashchis, I will not destroy, and sometimes he says, Lo e'eseh, I will not do. And our rabbis point out, the Das Zakenim in particular, that the negotiations essentially went as follows. If Hashem was to find 10 tzaddikim in every city, I will not punish at all. If there are 9 and I have to be the 10th, I will not destroy, but I will afflict. If there are 10 in each of 3 or 4 cities, which is the majority of the 5, then I will not punish at all, even if there are cities without tzaddikim. And if there are 10 tzaddikim in each of 1 or 2 cities, meaning if there's 10 or 20, the minority, then I will not destroy, but I will afflict. And if you go back through that chapter again, you can see that playing out in the words that Hashem responds to Avraham. So that's all for chapter 18. I look forward to learning chapter 19 with you, but in the meantime, have a wonderful and meaningful day.